Hi there, and welcome to the Cotswold Explorer. I'm Robin Shuckburgh, and we're exploring the wonderful region of the Cotswolds in southwest England. We decided to revisit the centre of the region and find some hidden gems, places that are not quite so famous, but still just as beautiful. And today you find Ross and me in the little village of Brimpsfield. This is an extraordinary place. We have a kind of double whammy because there's a beautiful little church, which you can see behind me, but also the remains of an ancient castle. It's very exciting, actually, this place. We're going to show you around. Come with me. In 1086, 20 years after the invasion of England by the Normans under William the Bastard, or William the Conqueror as he was more widely known, this manor and village of Brimsfield was gifted by William to Osborne, the son of Walter Gifford, one of William's closest supporters, and who, along with his sons, had fought at the decisive Battle of Hastings in 1066. Osborne built a castle at Brimsfield and lived here until his death in 1090. His descendants continued to hold this manor and live in the castle until 1321, when Sir John Gifford, the second Baron, made the mistake of rebelling against King Edward II. He was hanged as a traitor at Gloucester, and his castle ordered to be destroyed. What's amazing, though, is that the huge earthworks forming the roughly oval moat and even the footings of the original gatehouse are still extremely obvious in the landscape, particularly from the eagle eye of Ross's lovely new drone. This whole squabble concerned the Despensers, who were a bunch of warlords on the Welsh marches. When Edward was moving westwards against these border lords, Gifford attacked and plundered the royal baggage train on Ermine Street just northeast of Brimsfield, and in revenge for this foray the king dispatched a party of soldiers to demolish the castle. Gifford made his way as quickly as possible to join the supporters of these wild Welsh warlords, but was later captured after the Battle of Borough Bridge and returned and hanged outside Gloucester, as previously mentioned. As a footnote, and please forgive some enjoyment I'm getting in talking about this family, the Battle of Borough Bridge marked the end of the war between the Despensers and the English, as well as cementing the extraordinary reputation of the longbow, a weapon so powerful in its day as to bear comparison to the Challenger tanks on their way to Ukraine today. Not long after the building of the castle, a priory was founded, probably by Osborne's son Elias. There's little or nothing left of it now except the church, although I understand that on very dry days it's sometimes possible to see the outline of the foundations, and perhaps the windows incorporated in the shed just north of the church might well have come from this little offshoot of the Benedictine Abbey of Fontenay in Normandy. It is, of course, equally possible that these remnants came from the castle itself. But don't run away with the idea that Elias was a gentle soul with liberal Christian tendencies. He got himself into terrible trouble with the abbot of Cirencester for erecting a gallows at Brimsfield and hanging local thieves and vagabonds just a touch too freely, even for the mores of the time. It was a frighteningly violent age. What a long way we've come. Or have we? St. Michael's Church was built mainly of stone quarried at Smith's Cross Quarry on Ermine Street, which produced the best walling stone in the whole of the Cotswolds. As always, the church we see today took shape over the centuries. The tower was probably added in the late 15th century, but the original 12th century details are everywhere. The replacement of the tower required all kinds of structural reinforcement as is often the case, but here some truly imaginative techniques were employed, leaving us with an unusual and extremely pleasing character. A network of arches and buttresses produced a couple of very convenient nave altars, both north and south. The rude loft, whose staircase survives but is blocked off with a piece of wood, would have stretched across the church. The double-drained piscina is probably 14th century, and in the north wall of the nave a 13th century doorway was probably designed to give access to the Priory. Waller and Son, of whom we've heard a great deal over the years, carried out a restoration in 1883, reopening the squints, which no longer focus on the altar, but are really nice to see, and removing the contemporary gallery put in 50 years previously, providing for us the typical nave choir, separated by a low stone screen. The lovely 15th century font is highly decorated, and the pulpit, carved oak, dated 1658, quite typical of the time of the Commonwealth. The mensa, or heavy stone altar top, is not of local stone, but was rescued in 1937 from use as a stile, and it was reset in the North Nave Chapel in 1971. There are some excellent 19th and early 20th century windows, although I remain, I must say, ambivalent towards stained glass, generally preferring clear windows to light the otherwise rather dark churches. In the northwest corner of the chancel is an enormous coffin lid, probably 11th or 12th century, with a huge sword in relief. Some argue that it's a cross, but it looks very much like a sword to me, perhaps a monument to one of the early Giffords. I don't think many people visit this church. It's tricky to find. You have to walk or drive through a gate off the village street and across a field to get to it. But whilst we were there, we met two men tasked with keeping the hedges trimmed, and they were extremely welcoming and proud of their wonderful, peaceful church and graveyard. It really is quite a find, and high on the list of Cotswold gems. I hope you've enjoyed our little spin around Brimsfield. It's a lovely place, this, kind of hidden away on top of this great valley that runs down behind us here. The excitement of flying the drone here was quite something. Ross flew over the old castle, and as you've seen, the views were spectacular. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel. It helps us a great deal if you do. You can find us on all the normal platforms, of course, and we will see you again in the very near future, somewhere else in the Cotswolds.